Mad Wolf here, and in case you guys are wondering just what the hell I'm doing, I'm debating if I want page counts in my next book, because every time I try to work on it, what's happening is the page number is jumping to the next page, and it's screwing up the format and crap, and I'm just like, this is taking hours just to put numbers on a piece of paper that we don't even really use anyway because we use bookmarks. But it looks professional. So anyway, seeing as though the story is about heroes and whatnot, we have so many frickin' comic book movies coming out. Oh god, it's so frickin' many in the last 2 decades. I mean, Jesus, I've seen more than I'm happy to admit that I've seen, and some of them whoops. I don't like the microphone dangling in front of my face, but oh well. Some of them I was told, oh yeah, you need to see this because it's really good. It's a really great movie. And I'm just like, that was kind of bland. But it sets up the next thing. I don't care. You know, honestly, the stuff I grew up idolizing as, heroes and stuff. I'm going to start with RoboCop because, for anyone who doesn't know RoboCop, it's an 80s super violent kind of cop movie. Duh. With a technological twist. Duh. That's why it's called RoboCop. Duh. But, so yeah, it's basically about a cop that gets brutally murdered, and the company that pretty much bought out, like, this police precinct, they're, basically cutting the body up and experimenting with it and creating a cyborg that just follows the law, stops criminals, and they're doing it to basically make their company look good and stuff like that. But here's the catch. This Frankenstein-like creation winds up what's left of his brain is starting to remember his human life, and he wants to understand it. It's a very tragic concept because, like, his family's gone, they've moved on with their lives, they think he's dead, and he's just trying to get back at the criminals that put him in this position. And in a way, it's a very good story when it comes to man versus machine. And I feel RoboCop is just simply one of the best movies of all time, of the 80s, and son of a bitch, it's doing it again. So let's see, where am I? 17. But yeah, so that's RoboCop, and then you have Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Now, honestly, this was my movie growing up, and there were things about it that did terrify the living hell out of me. Some very powerful scenery, or it's not scenery, very powerful scene and storytelling. And, for those that don't know Terminator, I look at it like a slasher movie, but with guns. This robot goes back in time to kill the mother of the leader of the human resistance, and he goes back in time to try to kill her, but a hero goes back to save her. Terminator 2: Judgment Day is more straight up Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie. He's the hero now because he's this reprogrammed Terminator sent back to protect the boy who becomes the leader of the human resistance. And what's really remarkable about this story is, while protecting this delinquent, I don't know if he's a teenager, I don't know if he's 12, I don't know if he's 10, but protecting this delinquent boy, the Terminator starts to kind of understand and learn humanity and, like, trying to protect and save people. And I feel there's scenes in the movie, his mom did the complete opposite. Like, she lost so much that she just doesn't care. And John Connor is trying to reteach that to her, which is awesome because it also shows this is why he's the leader of the human resistance in the future. So it's a really kind of interesting story as far as I'm concerned. Granted, it's my childhood favorite movie, even though it's totally R. So is RoboCop. I should not have been watching these growing up, but what the hell? It happened, and I grew up fine. Don't judge me. Don't you dare judge me. Don't judge me, goddammit. So that's two of the movies. Now, another movie I really kind of look up to is okay, I'm going to exit this previewer. I'm going to save it again. And this one, I will say, you know, all these people going off about Captain Marvel and, oh, this is great because we need a female protagonist and blah, 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 blah. You know what? Let's look at Ellen Ripley from goddamn Alien and Aliens, because she is freaking, like, in the first movie, you could tell the character is doing everything she can to not freak out, to keep her calm, to kind of lead these people. And she's just this average. In the future, she's supposed to be like this cargo hauler. She's a flight pilot or something like that. But they act like, oh yeah, this is just an everyday thing. Matter of fact, if you watch Split behind the scenes, they kind of described it as truckers in space. So she's basically a driver. And she's forced in this situation. She's watching her crewmates die, and she has to overcome this. In Aliens, she's already past the breaking point. She's kind of gone psycho. And they're basically forcing her back into the thick of it. But rather than one alien, there's a whole bunch of them. And the Marines are dropping like flies. So Ripley has to overcome, she has to muster the willpower to overcome the fear, to like get all this courage to lead them because their officers are dead. And just like, it is a total cluster situation. And she steps up to the challenge and actually takes charge. And without spoiling anything, something happens later on in the movie that she winds up picking a gun and going to try to save the day. And things just go from bad to worse, yet she maintains her cool. She steps up to the plate. You know, everything you could say. Dude, frickin' Ellen Ripley, no superpowers, no nothing. Just a frickin' woman with the will to live and the will to survive against a seemingly hopeless situation. You know, what could be more empowering than that, you know? Oh no, let's give her fire hair and have her fly in space in spandex with a Cthulhu cat. It's, I don't know. Both of them are sci-fi, but I'm like, yeah, I respect Ripley more because she doesn't have everything just handed to her, okay? So then we got Indiana Jones. And yeah, Indiana Jones had some bad movies. Crystal Skull I didn't really mind so much, to be honest. Temple of Doom, I'd say I don't like it nearly as much as Crystal Skull, sadly. But both, that's like comparing rotten apples to a rotten lemon. You don't really want to eat either of them. You would rather eat the actual nice apples or a watermelon or a grapefruit or, you know, something like that. And that watermelon, apple, grapefruit thing is actually Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which are both really great movies, really great characters, good story writing, love the sound design, stuff like that, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So those are four heroes I grew up with that I really loved. The fifth one, and this one does get into comic books. So, and people are going to kind of make fun of me. This is my favorite comic book movie. But it's none other than the 1995 Sylvester Stallone movie, Judge Dredd. And people are like, oh, it's so cheesy, it's so campy. Honestly, I don't even really think it's campy. The comic relief in the movie, the one comic relief, is Rob Schneider. And he plays this twerpy computer guy fresh out of prison. And to show how hopeless this world and his situation is, you know, his apartment is overrun instantly by criminals trying to wage war on the streets. And he hijacks his robot to try to escape, only to become arrested for hijacking and reprogramming a robot. It shows, dude, there's no winning scenario in this universe and stuff, and still processing my file. But, that said, when it comes to Judge Dredd himself, they really did try to develop that character and show what drives him, keeps him motivated, and how hopeless he feels, and I think it's a great movie. Like, I know I keep saying that, but once again, it gets into his origin, it gets into why he's so moody. I guess it's the right word, why he's so down and moody. But, and then in the end, like, he overcomes it, he learns from it, he accepts things, he lets people into his life, and it's a forced situation, but he lets it happen. It's not like, I'm just gonna kill you because I'm Judge Dredd. No, it's got more character and more heart than that. The 2012, before I get into that, I'm just gonna say, I really feel my age of heroes is gone. There is one other character I forgot to mention. And this one's kind of embarrassing, but that's Jake Preston from Firebirds. And you guys are going to be like, who the hell is Jake Preston from Firebirds? Like, where did this even come from? Well, Firebirds is a movie I grew up with. And it's essentially Top Gun, but with Apache attack helicopters, which I still look at as like one of the frickin' most badass things that can go in the sky. It is starring Tommy Lee Jones and Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage plays Jake Preston, and now you can see why I'm kind of embarrassed to admit Jake Preston was one of my childhood heroes. That said, Jake Preston is an Apache attack helicopter pilot who is out to avenge his friend's death, I guess, and is so driven to be part of the Apache attack helicopter program and Operation Firebirds that he does the most obscene and just, well, I shouldn't say he does the most obscene stuff, but he pretty much goes through driver's ed with panties on his head so he can try to learn how to be left eye dominant but right-handed. And that's I'm not making that up. That's a scene in the movie. It's hilarious. They even make the comment, "You always looked great in red panties, Jake. As long as you're having fun there, Breaker." Yeah, that was one of my heroes, because the flying scenes in that movie are just great. And you could tell it's stock footage, but who the hell cares? They're Apache attack helicopters. And I love the characters. I love the setup. I love the climax. I can remember that movie scene for scene, which I will not get into on this video because I'm trying to keep things short and it's already over 10 minutes. So, but going back to what I was going to say before I remembered Firebirds, I I do sadly feel my age of heroes is gone. Because my age of heroes were the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, were the Sylvester Stallones, and yeah, they're still making movies, but they drastically changed. Judge Dredd, once again, they did a Judge Dredd movie actually, I was about to say just a few years ago, but it was actually almost 10, back in 2012, I think. And it had Carl Urban as Dredd, and he's not, honestly, I love Carl Urban as an actor. He's great in his roles. Judge Dredd in that movie has no character development whatsoever. Just absolutely stone-faced, and everyone's like, oh yeah, well that's how, Judge Dredd is. He's always, I am the law. But no, honestly, I've read a couple of the comic books, and I'm like, no, Judge Dredd actually does have some development into his character and stuff like that. So for them just make this kind of this bland, this is just what judges do every day. It's like, okay, well, this isn't the real world, so I don't really care what these judges do every day. And it has more character development into a side character than it does on the main character, whose name is, the movie title. So that said, they made some more Terminator movies. Genesis was awful. Genesis was just downright awful. And Salvation was decent. The new one coming out, it looks interesting. I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but I will say, at the very least, it looks interesting. And yes, I have hair dangling in front of my face right now I'm trying to fix. But it doesn't want to be grabbed. There it goes. So, I still have more. Damn it. So, I'm looking forward to seeing the new Terminator movie, but unfortunately, I've seen so many bad movies. Another good example is Alien. I saw Alien and Wonder Woman the same night. Alien Covenant. Alien Covenant was possibly the worst movie I've ever seen this year. Not this year, but the year it came out. The character that pretty much replaces Noomi Rapace from Prometheus. Oh man, the new character was so bland, I honestly didn't care about her. I didn't care about any of the characters in that movie. The robots were interesting, their philosophies, but I didn't go to watch an alien movie to watch Star Trek, nightly broadcasting. Oh, dear, whisper. Nightly episode philosophy on robots. You don't go to a horror movie for that. And then when it did have the horror in the movie, oh, it was stupid. It felt straight out of Friday the 13th. And I'm just like, why'd you have to go and make Alien freaking stupid? Why did that person have to slip on blood twice? The same puddle. In the exact same ship. Yeah, and then towards the end of the movie, the bland person that just I don't really care about just instantly is like, I'm a badass now. Good for you. Don't really care. Go build that log cabin by yourself. So yeah, that's some of them. The RoboCop reboot, I would say, was actually it was pretty decent. It told its story. It did have an interesting new concept in which RoboCop himself was not a Frankenstein monster creation like he was in the first movie, but they were trying to give him a prosthetic body and trying to actually save his life rather than just let's make a product and we're going to put it out there in the street so we can get more money. The problem with the RoboCop reboot, and people are like, oh, it's PG-13. I didn't mind that so much because there still was some scenes when you see them remove the prosthetic suit and you realize how much of RoboCop had been taken away, Alex Murphy, like, I was like, oh God, that's messed up. And it really did, like, tug at my heart. So, you know, for a PG-13 movie, you don't need violence and gore, you know, to show that. That said, some of the more violent scenes would have been nice in this movie, but that's not what killed it. The movie got stupid about halfway through it when they threw this plot twist involving the company deciding to shut him down because he's starting to go after powerful figures, I guess. And they're afraid, oh, well, he's going to turn on us. You know, I realized they had to throw that twist in there because in the original RoboCop, the company did some shady stuff. But the way they executed it was very bad. And it's just like, okay, let's just get past this plot twist, I guess. I don't even know if it is a plot twist. It's just kind of like, the hell was that? So, and unfortunately, just my age of heroes is gone. My age of heroes has been killed by Thor, who's an alien Norse god thing, if Disney/Marvel makes up their mind. Because for a while they said, we're not gods, you cut us, we bleed. And now it's like, are you Thor, god of hammers? Let's throw prophecy in there. Let's throw sorcerers in there. Oh, yeah, it's no big deal. And it's like, wait a minute. What happened to that whole argument you guys were trying to make about, like, oh, yeah, it's all science and aliens? And no, let's just throw that out the window. Okay, I'm confused. I would say I'm as confused as Terminator Genesis with the whole killer robot trying to kill his mom before he's conceived, and somehow that will not end in him being terminated. My brain seriously hurts thinking of this garbage, and that's why I don't like all the comic books. All I'm gonna say is the only comic book movie coming out that they announced that I'm looking forward to seeing, as so long as the world doesn't burn or anything like that, because it is a hot summer, is Rocket. I want to see Rocket Raccoon. I think that's the closest I'm going to see to a modern, like, Commando-esque movie, or Tango and Cash. I mean, like, Arctic just saw a review of Tango and Cash. We're going to go see Hobbs and Shaw eventually. And it's like, yeah, okay, that kind of seems like Tango and Cash. Okay, so we're still kind of doing that, but I don't know. It just feels really different compared to the way 80s and 90s cop movies were, so... Anyway, this video's gone on long enough. It's over 20 minutes. That's better than the 30-minute video I shot earlier. I'm also going to try to get this page numbering down, and I swear to God, if it doesn't do it this time, I'm just going to say screw it. I'm going to release the book without pages, just like I did with Tale of Wolf. Because... short of looking nice and professional, I don't know if the page numbers really help anything. So, yeah, that's all I got. Anyway, guys, have a good night, and I hope you enjoyed my rant. Oh, one last thing. I did forget about this. So I don't know when this will start. I don't know when. What? Yeah, what? I don't know what I'm gonna do first. I can't believe I'm saying this. But I will be streaming again. On Twitch. And I'm also probably going to name names of some of the people that have pissed me off over the years. Well, not over the years, but I just farted.
We all have it.
Don't judge me. Don't you dare judge me. Okay. If Whisper the Cat can't judge me, I don't think you guys should judge me. So anyway, I don't know what I'm going to be streaming. I don't know when it's going to happen. Maybe a couple of days. Maybe next month. I don't know. Could be Super Nintendo. Could be Nintendo. Could be 3DO for all I know. But yeah, so that's the situation. Trying to figure that all out. And I might just be like, you know what, guys? I'm opening my... I'm going to release my closet friends of spooky, scary skeletons. And I might name names. It's just some of the people who have pissed me off because, you know, after everything I've dealt with over the years, I'm just like, you know what? Why am I giving respect to these people who are partnered and they act like assholes and et cetera, et cetera? Whereas here I am trying to treat people like real people. And, you know, anyway, that's my thing. I'm going to go. You have a good night. Or don't. I have no control over that. But I hope you guys have a good night. So take that as you will. Why the hell are you still here?